Hi, welcome to Sneeden Works. On this one, leather scraps. We wrap the cage. I'll show you how we do it. Let's go. I am in the middle of leather wrapping my cage. Hopefully, you guys kind of find this interesting. I got a bunch of this distressed leather left over from when I did my door panels and other things. And this is one thing I wanted to tackle for, like I said, quite a while, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Um, here you go. I got one done. So my plan is to leather wrap this section here, that back section there, and then obviously the passenger door. As you can see, this turned out pretty awesome. So now that I kind of have it figured out, I can explain to you guys like what my process was in order to get this done. And it's honestly pretty easy. It's time consuming. A lot of measuring, a lot of planning, a few little things that you got to get. But other than that, I think it really ups I don't know, what do you call it? The quality of like the build. I feel like if you wrap it in a leather, it just makes it look like a higher end car than what it actually is. So let's get to making these pieces here. I'll lay it all out and kind of explain how I go about doing that, and then I'll show you how I'm stitching it together. So obviously, the first thing you got to figure out is your circumference of whatever you're trying to wrap. Easiest way to do it instead of doing all the math is just take a piece of tape, wrap it around there, mark a line, open the tape back up, lay it out, measure that piece of tape. That'll give you the measurement that you need. And for mine's 5 5/8, but I'm adding 3/4 of an inch on each side. You can't see that because of the reflections. There you go. In order to give it an overlap. So I'm marking this all out on the back side, the suede side of the leather. And then once I have it all cut out, I got to glue it together. We'll go over all this. And then fold it, glue it, stamp it. Like I said, let's get going on measuring out, like I said, the bottom part of the door bars. And then I'll lay it all out here and I'll show you what that all looks like. Measure, and then just hope that it all kind of turns out in the end. So this is the back side, suede side. I'm just using a ballpoint pen to mark it all out. Try to get it as flat as possible. It's going to have a little bit of, like this section has a little bit of wrinklage in there, which might cause a tiny bit of a problem. But the way I lay this out, it has just enough stretch to where it's going to hopefully pull that taut. So my main line, so this is the bar to bar, right? So all the way around. Inner line is where the outer line, when I fold it over to glue it to, it just gives me a mark to where I'm aiming for. Same thing on this side. And then length is the length of whatever it needs to be. So I'm gonna go ahead, use my fancy oil drip looking scissor things here, cut these all out, and then I'll go over how I'm gluing it together because it's not the right way, but it still works. I have my pieces cut out here and I'm just trying to form them to shapes that they need to be. First off, I went ahead and I folded them over and lined up the line. So that's why I made that extra line there. And then I took I just have one of these hammers with like I don't even know what that's made out of, but it's a little bit softer. And then obviously this is wood. And I'm hammering the edge. And I go across it quite a few times until it makes a nice crease. So some leather workers might say you need to like scave that before you do this, but I'm not really worried about that. That's not really going to affect the aesthetics of what I'm trying to go for here. And then obviously we got to like glue these two pieces together. Last night I made these because this is the same side that I made before I stitched that side. I was like, I could just use some flex glue because there is a certain kind of glue that you can order. It's like a 2-part cement that you can like rub in there, fold it over, let that dry. I decided to use this. It works. I mean, that is stuck. That is not coming apart, but as you can see, it's messy. So I don't really recommend doing that, but in a pinch, if you have to, you can. And I was like, duh, for this set, I was like, I have fabric, double-sided tape, which actually works really, really well. Like I already have this section done, and that's not coming up at all either, especially for what we're trying to do. It doesn't need to hold up to anything. It just needs to be pinched together. So as you can see, I got the strip laid out there. Peel off, the other side of it. I'm just going to fold it over and then smash it again, and then that's just not going to come up. And then next up, we got to go over and punch our thread holes, our pre-hole punch for the thread in order to get everything lined up the way we want our cross stitching to go. So that's what I'm going to work on next after I get these all set up. And I'll show you kind of how this works. I really wish I would have went with a larger size as a 4mm. I probably could have went bigger because if you go bigger, it's a lot less stitching that you have to do. Which, let me tell you, it took me almost an hour and a half just to do that section. I'm not looking forward to doing these sections at all. It's going to take quite a while. So let me glue all these together or tape them all together. Then I'll punch them all out and I'll show you what that looks like. I thought I'd show you guys this step. So I have all of my pieces ready to go. So now I gotta, like I said before, punch them all out, pre-punch my holes where the thread's gonna go. I'm gonna mark it out using this tool. I have no idea what it's called, but I got it set to 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna mark the back side, and then I'm going to hammer it in on a chunk of wood. Yeah, let's get to it. All this is doing is just giving me a reference mark in the leather because the leather is easily scribable. Is that a thing? Scratchable? You can easily make a mark. So there, as you can see there, that just gives me a nice guide on where I can keep a consistent, I don't think you do that side. What are you doing? Consistent holes punched. So now when I punch it, I'm going to overlap it by 2 and then hammer it through. And then I'm going to hopefully end up with the same amount of holes from one side to the other if I did all my measuring correctly. That way, your thread's going to line up from beginning all the way to the end. I'm going to make a mental note of where I'm starting. So I'm starting obviously off far enough. And the reason why I did the flap over, because I want twice as much material to where I'm pulling the thread through. That way it's not ripping. If you don't have your measurements correctly, or you're not, if you're not doubled up, that's going to pull through like quite easily with how close together these guys are. And like I said before, I wish I had this bigger, but I don't. So this is what we're going to work with. It still looks cool, as you saw. Again, I'm just taking my hammer, rubber side. Punching through. Lining up 2. Checking. I mean, this is the critical part of making sure that every single time you punch this, you're punching it exactly how you want to punch it and where you want to punch it. Because it's all going to be determined on like how your thread's all going to lay out. So there's the front side. You see my holes there? Back side a little bit bigger holes, which is fine because when we thread this through, we got to come from the front side through to the back side. We don't want to force it. We want it to happen naturally and not make these holes any bigger than they need to be. So I'm going to go through, punch these guys all out, and then I'll go over how we're stitching this stuff up together. Now comes the super fun part of stitching it all together. Throw on your favorite podcast, probably a Joe Rogan one, because guess what? It's going to take you forever to stitch all this up. So the way I'm going to do it, got some double-sided tape, same stuff that I used in order to put the two sides together because I need something to kind of just first initially hold this here. Let's get that established. Just throwing it right down in the center. Like I said, just something to keep it where it needs to be so you can get started on it. Plus it'll help it from like rotating around. You can probably do more than just one strip if you really wanted to. If you're not confident in how tight your leather is going to be. But I think one should be fine. Now we got to determine, well, like you saw on the other side, I need the stitch to be out. And you're never going to be able to see both sides at once. So, really, you know your lengths are the same. There we go. That's there. I'm using, so this is all stuff you can get on Amazon. It's a wax thread. It's pretty thick stuff. It's got a coating of wax on it, which goes great with leather, I guess. And then you can kind of flatten it out after it's in there, kind of give it just that hand stitched look that I'm going for. And then I'm using a couple of stainless steel needles, pretty big, curved. You can use pretty much whatever works best for you. I just have these because, well, I have them, so that's what I'm using. And lengthwise, if you think you got enough, you don't. Keep going. I did that side, and I had so much, and by the time I was done, I only had 6 inches left over on each side, which kind of made it difficult to finish it up. But just go overboard with this stuff. So let's get a length here. It's always good to have too much. It's never good to have not enough. I'm gonna bet I got about 20 feet here. So I'm gonna put it through the needle, give it a quick tie. Be careful you don't, just be careful you don't like knot this up, you know, tangle it all up. Obviously. So how I'm going to start it is I'm going to come through the top. Here, let's do it as we do it. Just going to, stab myself on the very first one. Are you kidding me? Don't do that. So I went through in the backside. Hopefully you can see that. Now we got to even it up. I'm gonna take this one again, loop through the same holes. Sometimes with this thread, like if your needles are sharp enough, you might poke through the thread itself again. So you kind of got to be cognizant of that. Are you kidding me? And that's exactly what I just did. See that? Idiot. Freaking idiot. No, I totally did that for the camera, just to show you how easily it can be done, especially on the first one. So I stabbed myself on the first one, and I screwed up on the first one. What else could go wrong? This is the best. This is so much fun. Try again. And make sure you're going under your loop. You don't get a knot. There we go. Now that we have it doubled, I'm just going to kind of pull it. Kind of snug, but not tight. Even it up again. Then I'm gonna do like I don't even know what you technically call it, a cross stitch or corset stitch. I'm gonna start on top, across, next hole down. And then straight across the adjacent hole on the other side on the bottom. I did not punch those very well. That's okay. In the beginning, it's just going to suck because you have so much string you're working with. I'm not pulling it tight yet. And then you take your other side and you do the opposite. So the hole you just came out of, again, making sure you don't puncture through your thread. Trust me, you will. And then out the hole you came in. But then make sure you're not, again, giving yourself a knot now we can snug it up. So hopefully that makes sense on how to get that started, and then you just work your way down. And make sure you start with the same side every single time so that your lace crosses the same direction every single time. And if you're OCD like me, you won't screw that up. So let me do a few, and I'll give you a close-up on kind of what it looks like. Just been sitting here crisscross applesauce like an idiot sewing this up, but pretty much done. Looks really cool. But I gotta tie this. So the way I end it is I loop it around twice, or I loop, you know, this side through and then this side through, and then the ends come out the bottom. Now I'm gonna double knot this and then just shove the knot up underneath there. And that should be good enough for that, for who it's for, which is me. So that's how I'm going to end this one. Not the video, but this section here. But I am going to take a little bit of a break because honestly, that took a couple hours just to sew this whole guy up before I knock out the bigger sections, which is going to take much longer. So fun, super fun. But I'm really pleased with it. It looks cool. Let me get the rest of these knocked out, and then we can show an end result. Hopefully, you guys decide to tackle something like this. It's like I said, it's just time consuming, but fairly simple to do, and I think it adds a lot to the aesthetics of anything. So anything you want to wrap, you can basically take measurements, get some leather, get some string, wrap it up. Looks cool. It's actually the next day, but I did manage to get both of the door bars done. It's very time consuming. I mean, you sit there for a while and then your body, I'm not complaining, but I'm complaining at the same time. It was a fun project, but it's just, it takes a long time and it's very meticulous in order to make sure that you get it all done correctly. I mean, you can get into like a groove and it kind of goes smoother, but it's just, I mean, it's a lot of thread. It's a lot of thread you got to work with, and to make it all look the way you want it to look and correct, it just takes time. That being said, it does look awesome. Let me show you. So yeah, like I said, I only got the door bars done, but these things look freaking sweet. See the stitching all in there? I just like the handcrafted look of it. It really helps make the interior of this car just look next level. I feel like it's just a little bit cleaner touch to it. I didn't get to the back bar there. I'll do that eventually, but I just kind of ran out of time. What do you guys think? Worth the time or not? I mean, I think it is. Hopefully some of y'all will tackle it after seeing this. I mean, it's just, like I said, just time consuming, and it elevates the whole build, I think. Like I said, very fun project. If you guys made it this far in the video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Got a lot more coming up. I don't know what next. Probably Malibu stuff. Definitely got to get going on that thing. I really want to get that thing running soon. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.